Hello again, everyone. Chris Mathieu with Forbidden Knowledge News. We're now less than a month away from the Laughlin UFO Mega Conference. 7 days, 8 nights, 30 extraordinary presenters there, disclosing unprecedented information. Today, I'm very happy to welcome English financial services lawyer and National Director of MUFON Emeritus, Jonathan Hague. Welcome, Jonathan. How are you doing today?
Good evening, Chris, from Mauritius, and good morning to you over in South Louisiana, I believe. I'm well, thank you.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I can't wait to meet you at the conference, and you have a fascinating presentation that you're going to be presenting, and it has to do with the UFO and UAP phenomenon, how your personal experiences kind of gave you a better understanding of it. However, we were talking before about, the more you learn about this phenomenon, it seems that the less you know, because it goes so deep and it touches on so many levels. But first, let's hear a little bit more about yourself. Tell us about your background and what led you to researching this phenomenon. And I know it was a series of personal experiences, right?
That's absolutely right, Chris. Yes, I grew up in the south of England in the UK. I was born in a county called Surrey, which is where Harry Potter was growing up in the film franchise. So just so your listeners get an idea of where I'm from. I then moved to the south coast of England into West Sussex, and had a very serene childhood growing up in the sort of green rolling hills of the South Downs, which is a beautiful and now World Heritage protected site in the UK. And grew up with fairly unusual insights and experiences that happened that I suppose I dismissed when I was younger. Either as a psychological or just a phenomenon that I didn't really understand. However, it was when I moved to London and became or qualified as a lawyer in England that I started to experience the UFO phenomena. It really started in around end of 2010, beginning of 2011, which was the year in which I got married to my wife, and we were walking from a place in sort of north central London called St John's Wood. We'd just been to catch a film, and we were walking at a fairly, raised elevation down to where we lived. And the sort of question came into my mind, is this phenomena real or not? And at that very moment, a metallic diamond-shaped object appeared over the clear blue skies of London that winter's morning. And it phased in and out of reality, and it had taken a physical appearance, a physicality, because it was reflecting the sunlight off of it. And it came in and phased in and out of the skyline maybe 3 to 4 times. And what was incredible was it happened at the very moment that I asked the question, because I'd been researching this. An engineer friend of mine had showed me some video footage of what he claimed to be something along the lines of the Hubble telescope looking into space. And what it appeared to have captured were images of craft or objects that hadn't quite phased into physical reality, but were taking substantially the form of, you can only say, ships in a light form. And at first I dismissed it, and I thought it was a great piece of Photoshop that had been pulled off. But the more I looked into it, I realized that there was a genuine information block at the official levels, both in the UK and over where you're based in the States. So, it took a more serious turn when I'd done enough research to realize, on a balance of probabilities, which would be the standard of a decision in civil law that would be made, that this was a reality, that it was real. However, I hadn't quite been, I couldn't quite believe in it. I was persuaded by the evidence, but I couldn't quite believe it because it was so fantastic and beyond our experience of reality. And until that very moment when I was walking with my then fiancée through London, and that was my first experience. Now, as time progressed, it appeared to the both of us that we would have a better quality of life, moving down to the South Indian Ocean, where we live now in Mauritius, where my wife was originally from. We had our first child in 2013, our daughter, and we felt that, we would offer her a better lifestyle as a young child, and indeed as parents, by coming here. And at that point, things took off beyond all expectation in terms of the phenomena that I was experiencing, not just visually in the evening in the night skies, but what was happening inside and outside the home, with witnesses, including my wife, my children, and relatives. So it's been an unbelievable journey. It's been around 7 to 10 years now. And, it's basically become a lifestyle in terms of constantly researching and reading and trying to match observable or the experience as a whole to understanding it in both an objective and also going beyond the sort of plain vanilla explanations that we're so accustomed to hearing. I think we've moved from the late 19th century airship sightings to then, nuts and bolts flying saucer craft of the late 40s and 50s to something that's now interdimensional. And the title of my presentation is The Multidimensionality and Meaning of the UAP Phenomena, Tales from the Indian Ocean. So the idea is to give an account of, I guess, key or relevant experiences that I've had, and then try and add some flavor through lenses through which we can try and understand this phenomena and actually try to give it meaning, which is probably the hardest thing of all to achieve.
Now, you mentioned that over the years, these sightings kind of changed. There used to be the airships and then the nuts and bolts UFO, which I find fascinating. It seems like they can somehow shapeshift to fit whatever it is in our consciousness at that time, which makes the phenomenon so much different than we could ever understand. I'm always saying that the nuts and bolts researchers need to get together with these new consciousness researchers. They need to get together with the paranormal researchers. We all need to get together to better understand this phenomenon, because it's changes over the years. It's completely different than we ever thought. It's something that I think we need to understand, but it goes so deep in so many levels that it's very difficult. What kind of understanding have you come out of with your personal experiences?
Yeah, sure. And I think you're right. There is no one size fits all answer, and no one person can say that they're an authority and that this is the situation, because nobody really knows, regardless how gifted or perceptive you are, or indeed intellectually able. But my personal impression is that from what I've experienced, is that there is a shepherding of some kind that is happening in that the manifestations occur at very crucial times in our lives, not with everybody. And I'm not referring to abduction cases, which often have a traumatic element to them, not always. And, that requires a different assessment, perhaps, in terms of getting rid of notions such as good and bad and evil and all the rest of it. So in my case, I felt that it's appeared at crucial moments in my life to give me a better understanding of who I am and why I'm here, and what I can do to assist others, and just try to speak my truth and do it in a way that whereby I maintain my integrity and respectability, which takes it's something that you build over years. So it's, especially as a lawyer, so it's something that I've been very mindful of. But it can be very abstract, and it does require, in my opinion, a variety of different research. Exactly what you said. You need to look into psychology and esotericism, as well as the quantum science, applied and theoretical, and just try to make it digestible so that you as an individual can understand it, and also then transmit that information to others who are also trying to understand the same thing. Another aspect or element that I found is that it is there's like a codependency. it is inextricably linked to us as a species or as beings of energy, vibrating and existing in this physical reality. And it's just that I believe that they're coming from a different realm of existence, which most likely seems to be observing us and guiding us as an evolving and relatively juvenile species. I mean, we are physical people with a divine spark within us, in my opinion. People may or may not disagree with that. But ultimately, in my view, everything in existence is coming from the same origin or source. So, it's actually a logical to say, suggest that we're all connected and that there is this interdependency between them and us. And, I don't think it's necessarily anything to be afraid of. I think it's something that requires a lot of humility and calmness. It takes time. I mean, when I first started experiencing this stuff, Chris, my adrenaline was pumping, and it's very exciting because the rational mind is busy analyzing, and you're trying to understand, okay, is it I don't know, is it swamp gas? But it clearly isn't, or a weather balloon for that matter. It's totally mind-bending and impressive, and it often responds to, or in my case, to my thoughts and my requests, including in front of witnesses like my wife. And it's totally impressive. I think there is an element of, as Grant Cameron says, the wow factor, but I don't think it's without incident. I think it's required to allow individuals to be shocked, to then go and do something about it, and then add to this field of mind which connects all of us in order to advance the species as a whole. It doesn't make you or I special. It's just something that's happened to us, and we can either choose to do something about it or not. So it's absolutely fascinating. I met some wonderful people along the way, some very well-known people in the legal field and in other sectors who are also interested and have experienced. And it's incredibly exciting because now, and I know you've pointed this out, there's so much credible mainstream coverage, and very interesting and credible characters and figures are coming out and making very carefully judged statements on the phenomena, including the multidimensional angle. So we live in interesting times.
Definitely. And, as you were saying, it's the phenomenon appears to be tied to our consciousness. And we were speaking before, I was telling you how I've actually never seen a UFO that I know of or experienced any type of unusual or paranormal phenomenon. But I'm wondering if it's tied to our consciousness, if certain people experience this more than others, if you've ever done any research into that as to why some people may experience sightings more often than others, or, some not at all.
Yeah, I think there are varying reasons as to why. And I think in some cases it's genetic. You often get contactees or abductees who seem to be contacted and intervened with across families in some instances. I mean, I know one family here in Mauritius that I've got to know and investigated their cases, and there's been incidents happening here in Mauritius, in South Africa, and in the southwest of the UK, where other members of the family live. I mean, that's, we're speculating. So, the genetic level is the kind of interface between physicality and metaphysical existence. I also think it probably goes above that at what, we can call the soul level as well. The soul, in my view, is a vehicle that shepherds our being in whatever form it happens to take in any given lifetime. And who's to say that, you evolve, and you can also descend into matter, into the human form in any given lifetime, and there are missions or work to be done. So I mean, these are just two examples, but the cause and effect are not what they seem. I mean, there's just been a scientific press release that says that in the quantum field, that cause doesn't necessarily precede effect. And obviously outside of the physical realm of three-dimensional space and linear time, who's to say that time really exists? It's just another aspect or dimension to this reality. So I think the reasons are multiple, but ultimately, as I said before, I think that we need to see connection. There is probably only one, hyper omnipresent, omnipotent being that decided to subjectively divide itself, and it is in us, and we are it. And so, there's only one presence that I suppose really knows what's going on.
Now, I have one more question for you before you head out today. I had a guest yesterday who will also be presenting at the conference, Dr. Bruce Goldberg, who believes that some of these visitors, some of this phenomenon is actually us humans from the future trying to communicate or observe, whatever it may be. What are your thoughts on that?
Anything is possible. I mean, I recall reading a book about the moon being an observable absurdity. The moon shouldn't scientifically be where it is. And one of the propositions is that it was brought here to stabilize conditions on Earth, and that it's very possible that humans from the future somehow managed to engineer that. I mean, there will be others that disagree and say that, well, the moon is brought from elsewhere. There are other species or inhabitants inside the moon. There is some very strange anecdotal stuff surrounding NASA when they went to the moon, and how it resonated like a bell, which suggests that it's possibly artificial. But, anything is possible. I think, who's to say that we won't be able to do that within, 100 years, 1,000 years, who knows? Incremental steps can be very slow, but they can also progress extremely fast. So, yeah, I exclude nothing. I don't think anything is absurd or ridiculous until it's proved otherwise, because we live in a malleable and incredible universe or multiverse. So who knows? It's very possible.
Definitely. And before you head out, let everyone know where they can find your work if they're interested.
Sure. Yeah. I've set up Facebook pages and an Instagram page and a website under JP Hague. That's JPHAGUE. So check out my pages there. I've also got a YouTube channel where I've enjoyed several conversations with some leading esoterists and experts in the field, including Jordan Maxwell, who will be present at our conference at the UFO Mega Con in Laughlin.
Love Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. Great guy and some incredible experiences. And I really can't wait to see him in person. And the likes of Jan Harzan, the head of MUFON, who's also my boss as the director of Mauritius MUFON. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a practicing lawyer, so I try to do as much work as I can in this field when I can. So, let's see what the future holds.
Very good. And thank you so much again for coming by today. And I can't wait to meet you at the Laughlin UFO Conference.
Yeah, likewise, Chris. And thanks for all the effort you're making to pull everything together. You're doing a great job, sincerely.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you again soon.
Okay, Chris. Cheers. Take care.
This is going to be so much more than just a UFO Mega Conference. There's going to be a night sky watch, a film festival, an experiencer group, optional social meal events, and so much more. Go to Laughlin UFO Megaconference.com right now. Get your discount package prices. You don't want to miss this amazing event.